Good afternoon, folks. Dennis Jr. here with Zager Guitars in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm with my father, Denny Sr. We're out behind the guitar shop this morning. We're covering some basic questions we get from customers quite daily, so I can help all you this way a little bit more. I get a lot of customers asking with medical conditions if our guitars will help. For an example, we have a lot of players with arthritis, with fibromyalgia, with shoulder pain, you name it. Over the last 55 years, we've had customers come from all sorts of issues, who maybe had to give up guitar. We've had a lot of pro players who literally had to give up the instrument altogether just because, if you got arthritis and you can't press the strings, you're not going to be playing, and that's very unfortunate. With that said, we've had some fantastic success stories where, again, we've had 20 and 30-year players who had to give it up because of a medical condition, and they tried one of our guitars, and because of our designs, were able to play again. And if there's a reason to be in the guitar business, that's a very gratifying one. My dad and I are blessed every day with being able to help people all around the world that way. But I'll give you some reasons why our guitars will be easier to play. For, let's say, an example, a person with arthritis. With our guitars, we have a custom bracing system in our guitars. It's a very thin bracing system in the face that actually gives just a little bit. And what this means is when you're up here trying to press the strings and form chords, it makes it about 50% easier, meaning there's 50% less pressure to hold down and form chords. And I hear this a lot. They say 9 out of 10 players give up playing guitar because of finger pain and soreness. This helps immeasurably when you barely have to press to form a chord. And for a beginning player who doesn't have a lot of muscle or dexterity in their fingers, or a player with arthritis who just, the same reason, you can't press down as hard, this can make the difference between you playing or not. And for our advanced players, our pro recording artists you see on stage, they use it to the same level but in a different way. They're able to play longer sets on stage. A lot of those guys are up on stage 1, 2, even 3 hours in a show. And when you have this much lighter pressure, that really makes a big difference. And they can move a lot faster. I was talking with one of our artists, what was it? Who was it? Sully Erna of Godsmack. I was speaking with him about a month ago, and he was saying he couldn't believe how much faster he was able to move with on the fretboard with our guitars. Because when you think about it, you're no longer muscling each chord, each movement. You don't have to you just don't have to press as hard. And when you can move with more fluidity down the fretboard and barely touch the strings to form chords, it just makes a huge difference. So that's one of the reasons our guitars will especially help players with some of these medical conditions. Another one is our neck design. If you look at our neck design, you'll notice it's a slim design. I call this our 55-year neck because it's now taken us 55 years to get it to what it is today. There's really nothing like it on the market today. It's a slim neck design, but we don't go too narrow on the fretboard. We like to create space for the strings and separation that way. But it's very natural feeling in your hands. It feels like an extension of your body, and that's what we were going for. It works extremely well with literally all hand sizes. So that is another factor that are, again, going to make our guitars play easier for some of these players with medical conditions. Another thing on our guitars that you won't see on others is we have a custom spacing system. I didn't say bracing this time, I said spacing. If you look at the strings on our fretboard here, it's really actually quite hard just to look at it visually and notice a difference. But if you get your hands on one of our guitars, like we had a 20-year player in the other day, and he was having some issues, and he immediately jumped on the guitar and was able to hit chords he said that he had been having trouble with for decades, and they came real easy in our guitar. And a lot of this is because of our spacing. We have just a little bit more width in between each string, and if you've ever played and you're leaning on adjacent strings that you don't want to be, this alleviates that problem entirely. Just 1/32 of an inch can make a huge difference where you're, you know, you're hearing buzzes, mutes, and rattles. And like this player that was in the other day, he had no more buzzes, mutes, and rattles, he said. He was playing a guild before. Fantastic guitar, but the strings were a little bit too close together. And just that little extra bit of space allowed him to play the chords clearer. And that little extra space, it also comes down here on this section of the guitar with your right hand. If you're a finger style player, there's a little more space between the strings here. My father is a predominant finger style player. Loves Chet Atkins. It's his hero here. And his style of play, if you've watched my father's lessons, is Chet Atkins style. So he plays a lot of finger style. And for this reason, our strings are a little more separated over the sound hole. So there's a little more room. There's more room for error, I guess you could say, in that manner. So it's a great finger style guitar too. And again, if you've got arthritis or one of these other medical conditions, it can make all the difference. And one other factor here is the frets on our guitars. The frets, we use a special shape and a special size, and we use a special softer fret material. It's a very soft nickel. And what this allows is it doesn't beat up your fingers as bad. You get less of what they call that dreaded string bite. So when you're sliding up and down the fretboard here, it doesn't bite into your fingers as bad. And I've seen a lot of players online concerned, is it's a soft material, will it wear out? Will I need to be refretting in 5 or 10 years? No, you will not. They wear in very nicely. It's a custom design. We have players with frets of 30 years and more who have never had to refret, so that's not an issue at all. So I just wanted to go over some basics here for, you players who maybe have arthritis, fibromyalgia, shoulder pain, arm pain, wrist pain. We've dealt with it all here over the last 55 years, and we've had a lot of great success stories. I always say look at our testimonial section, our video section. You'll see a lot of videos of players. We had a player with multiple sclerosis a few years back. I'm trying to remember his name, Steve Giordano. I remember his name. He sent us a great video, but he was one of those guys who he had to give up playing, and it was his passion. It's what he did for 40 years of his life. He had to give it up. He tried one of our guitars at no risk, tried it in his home for 30 days, and it's funny because I got a call literally within an hour of when he received the guitar, and he says, I've been playing for a full hour, nonstop. I haven't been able to do this for 5 years since I got multiple sclerosis, so it does work. And my father's designs, my great-grandfather, it's all kind of come to fruition here. Our designs work, and we've had a lot of success stories with players with medical conditions. So do remember, you have a 100% money back guarantee. We pay shipping both ways, so if it doesn't work out, you're under no obligation anyway, so there's no stress in buying that way. So if you have any other questions, don't be afraid to call or email. We're here 7 days a week, and we will take care of you. All right, take care, folks.